Let's just start off our conversation talking about the increasing amount of ties, economic ties, trade ties that are growing between China and the region. What, to your mind, is the catalyst for this rapprochement between China and the region, the GCC and the rest of the region?
Sure. I guess it's kind of the meeting point of a perfect meeting point for two wills. I mean, on the one hand, obviously the Gulf countries are hungry for investments along the journey of the transformation plans, and they need a lot of capital, and technology, obviously, to needed to be attracted to help them with this transformation plan. I guess on the other side, China with its structural transformation on its own. Still a bit moving on the slow side. Obviously, they have a lot of surplus on the on the investment side and so on, that they need to find new markets for their own products and to diversify also away from their typically core markets of the US and EU. So it's kind of like a perfect match of for both, actually.
When it comes to Saudi Arabia, how do you view the burgeoning relationship with China through the prism of what Saudi are trying to achieve with Vision 2030? How important is it to them that this relationship thrives?
It's obviously very important, as we said. Obviously the biggest transformation, structural one, is in the Gulf, is happening primarily in Saudi. Obviously due also to the size of its economy. And its population, so it is the economy that needs the most investments, within the Gulf, and obviously China here is key. Investments are targeted within energy sectors, energy for both the conventional one on the hydrocarbon side. Obviously, lots of investments also needed on the renewable side. Again, China is very key here. On the manufacturing side, the whole notion of EV batteries and so on, there's a lot of cooperation that also, Saudi is seeking with the Chinese here. Infrastructure, the developments of particularly on the ports side and so on. I mean, there's a lot of interest, I guess, that Saudi will have in attracting Chinese money here.
And if you look at the overall inflow of FDI, what stands out is even though the numbers are increasing from China into Saudi Arabia or China into GCC, the US FDI numbers are multiples of that. How do you think the US is viewing the closeness of the relationship now, or increasing number of growing ties between the region and China? Should they be concerned?
I guess generally there has been a bit of a concern for sure, because there has been a major breakthrough in you can say so in the relations between Saudi and China, let's say in the last 3 to 5 years, and obviously we have not seen this just only on the economic side, but obviously complemented also on the political kind of geopolitical side. Their approachment, that was supported by China, basically for Saudi Arabia and Iran. Roles also it's been playing in other major files within the region. I mean, definitely that has been taking a bit of the attention of the US, and definitely that's a delicate balancing act that Saudi Arabia also have to think about.
Mohamed, one of the questions people always ask is whether Saudi would go so far as to repricing the oil it sells into China into renminbi or into yuan. Do you ever see that as a possibility of happening?
I mean, well, I guess it's something that always be on the table. From the Saudi perspective, this is a major card that they can play in their favor at different times. So I would never kind of rule it out completely, but I don't think that's something that we see happening anytime soon at all.
Okay, I want to round up a question just to bring it back to everything that we've heard in the last half an hour. A lot of geopolitical stories coming up, keeping a close eye on how oil is trading here. Let me just ask you to round up our discussion, how you see oil trading towards the end of the year. And do you think that there is some complacency priced in to where energy is right now, given the geopolitical backdrop?
Yeah, I think exactly what you mentioned at the very end. The geopolitics probably providing some support, to oil prices, and I guess it is marked obviously that we have, two major wars happening in the world. One even itself in the Middle East, and we've seen it, going a bit out of not just a one-on-one conflict, but it's been broadening a bit into regional war, and yet oil prices have not necessarily risen a lot. So I guess it's a bit of a reflection of concerns about global growth, and also don't forget that all this kind of relative only stability in prices is happening with very decent cuts, obviously, in production by OPEC plus. So I guess there's a lot of support from the war and the cuts, production cuts, but yet we're not seeing oil prices being able to go much higher from here. So I guess the downside risks are still much higher than any upside risks.